Om Shri Sai Ram, Gita Vahini, by Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, Chapter 25, Divine Qualities and Demonic Qualities, Deva Sampati, Danava Sampati. Krishna, you proclaimed that those who recognize and be aware of this cognizable world as Paramatma, Supreme Self, but not as mere world, are Vedas, those who know the ultimate essence of Vedas. You also say that the effect, that is the world, cannot be different from the cause, that is the Paramatma. But how is this possible? The world that is seen by us is subject to growth and decay. Paramatma is, on the other hand, Nitya, changeless, Satya, eternal, Nirmala, blemishless, and Achanchala, unshakable or immovable. There can be no affinity between water and fire, is it not so? How can these two be one? Please tell me. I shall be most happy to hear you, said Arjuna. Well, Arjuna, in the cognizable world, every single thing displays its swabhava or nature. Swabhava means guna, quality or characteristics or property. The guna depends upon the guni, the possessor of gunas. There is a basis, an adhara for the characteristics possessed by every person and living being in the world. That adhara is the Atma. Through deep and steady inquiry, fix your attention on the unchanging basis, not on the fluctuating manifestations of the world, or else you flounder in the flux, just as the seed is the basis for the trunk, boughs, branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers of a tree. The Prakriti or Prapancha or world is the tree that emanates from the seed, Atma. Prapancha is the permutation and combination of the five elements which are latent in the basis, the Atma. Consider the Atma, which is the base for all swabhavams, as essential, for it is as its manifestation that the world is expressed. He who has grasped this truth through steady sadhana or discipline and vichara inquiry deserves the name Veda. He who knows the ultimate essence of Vedas. But without vichara, without vivekam or discriminating between the real and the unreal, if one mistakes the seen alone to be the lasting and argues so, he is losing this way. How can he reach the goal? How can he attain the reality, the bhava, thoughts, feelings, and aptitude that helps to know this reality is what is called Deva Sampati, treasure of divine qualities. The Asura Sampati, plentitude of demonic tendencies, is the opposite tendency which makes a man argue that he has known when he is not, which keeps him away from all attempts to know, which induces him to establish untruth as truth. As soon as the Lord finished saying this, Arjuna raised his head in astonishment and said, Gopala, you were declaring so far that the Atma is the basis for all swabhavams or characteristics and for all jivis or beings. That is to say, you were declaring that you were that basis. Meanwhile, you have started talking about the two distinct natures, Deva Sampati or divine qualities and Asura Sampati, demonic qualities. I'm getting confused. I'm at a loss to decide which to accept and which to reject. There must be some deep significance to what you said, because I'm certain that you never do anything without any significance and everything you say is true. But since the mind of man is fogged with impurities of mamakaram or attachment, it is very difficult to comprehend the nectar-like sweet words of the Lord Madhava. Such a mind breeds all kinds of baseless doubts that render life unworthy. Please explain in simple terms who these Deva Asuras are, what their state of being is, and what their swabhavams are. Arjuna, your question is even stranger. You say that I never speak a word that has no meaning or do a deed that has no significance. Yet you worry over the problem, which among my statements you have to accept and which you have to reject. What a miserable condition! This is senseless anxiety and hesitation. My dear brother-in-law, the Devas and the Asuras are not two separate distinct groups. They are so divided on the basis of the distinction in gunas or characteristics. Well, the gunas are not real. They are kalpanas or projections. I've already told you about them. The potter makes pots, pans and plates from clay. These vessels are not essentially parts of the clay out of which they were shaped. In reality, the pot, pan and plate that are made are not present in the clay. Only the clay is sahaja or real. All the pottery is just the projections. These projections of names and forms are the gunas or characteristics. The substance or adhara or basis is clay. The adheya, that is to be supported entity, are pots, pans and plates. Clay is sahaja or real. Pots, pans and plates are kalpanas, projections or unreal. Take it that the clay, the basis, the sahaja is my swarupam, reality. In the names and forms, the expressions, the pots, etc. are not in me, but I am in them. I have no gunas, but I am in the gunas. It is not possible either to keep clay and pots apart as two distinct entities. Krishna, tell me, what is the relationship between your swabhavam or true nature and the swarupam of Prakriti, the objective world? Arjuna, I have told you already that the five elements, earth, water, fire, air and space, are my swabhavam, my attributes. What is this objective world except the combination of the five elements? What else can you call it? Krishna, without the five elements, nothing can sustain in this world. Is it not? Then, how can I deny them? Entire life is bound with them. Arjuna, when you accept the five elements, you have to agree to the fivefold proliferation of each element, making in all 25 tattvams or principles. Only 4 elements, earth, water, fire and air, are evident and perceptible, but either or space is the basis for all. So too, manas, mind, buddhi, intellect, chitta, memory, ahamkaram, I-ness, are all 4 karanas or instruments cognized by experience, but the antakarana, the witness consciousness or individual soul, which is their base, can only be inferred. All things of which we are aware are but manifestations of a thing of which we are unaware. Everything that is perceptible derives their strength and support from the imperceptible. That imperceptible basis of which you are unaware is the I myself, the Atma. All adheyas are based on me. Adheya, that which is based, is subject to change, growth, decline and modification. But the base or adhara should not therefore be taken as subject to change. For example, consider the moon and its reflection in water. The image of the moon in the water is not steady. It shakes and quivers. It is the water that shakes and quivers, not the moon above. Ignorant people who are like children infer that the moon is itself shaking. The superimposition of the characteristics of the adheya on the adhara is the asura tattvam or the demonic quality, the recognition of the nityatvam, changeless, and satyatvam, eternity of the adhara. Even in the adheya is the devatvam, divine quality. One is my swabhavam and the other is my swarupam. Not to see them as two distinct entities but as one unified entity deserves the status of Vedavid, he who has mastered the Vedas. So all the differences are merely on the basis of the distinction in gunas or characteristics, not otherwise. Arjuna listened intently and with steady attention to all this. Then he inquired, Madhava, you said that only the distinctions in gunas distinguishing these two, Devas and Danavas. Which gunas make for Danavas and which for Devas? Please clarify. Krishna replied, Arjuna, I am ever willing to clarify. I only need listeners like you who are steady and intent. Hear this with unwavering attention. 1. Abhaya or fearlessness. 2. Chitta Shuddhi or clean and pure inner faculty. 3. Life committed to Jnana Yoga, that is life devoted to Atma Jnanam, the knowledge of the self. 4. Dhanam or charity. 5th, Dhammam, keeping the external senses under control. 6th, Yajnam or rituals and sacrifices. 7th, Adhyayanam or self-study. 8th, Tapas or asceticism. 9. Absence of kapatam or deceitfulness or hypocrisy. 10. Ahimsa or non-violence. 11. Satyam, being honest, integrity. 12. Akrodham, free from anger. 13. Tyagam, detachment. 14. Shanti or inner peace. 15. Refraining from scandal mongering and talking ill of others. 16. Karuna or compassion towards all pranis, living beings. 17. Lack of interest towards vishayas, worldly things or sense objects. 18. Tejas or vigor. 19. Shama, fortitude or tolerance, especially with respect to dualities. 20. Not to lose dhairyam or courage in times of distress. 21. Shaucham or purity within and without even at the subtlest level. 22. Not to act treacherously. 23. Mridu Swabhavam or soft nature or Vak Madhuram or sweet speech. 24. Not to engage in adharmika or immoral acts. And 25. Absence of chanchala swabhavam, waywardness of mind. Those who practice these 25 holy qualities are said to possess the treasure of the divine qualities or Deva Sampati. People endowed with these qualities are Deva Masas or embodiments of divine spark, Dambam or pomposity, Garvam, pride, Durabhimanam or arrogance or vanity, Kopam, anger, temperament, to persecute others, Viveka, Jnana Hinta or absence of discrimination, and such other Durgunas or vices are the components of the Asura Sampati or the plenitude of demonic tendencies. Persons having these qualities are Danavamsas or embodiments of wickedness. So, mere outward appearance as humans does not entitle one to deserve that name. Those born in this world with the above said divine qualities are said to be Devamsa Manavas, and those with demonic qualities are said to be Danavamsa Manavas. Some men esteem themselves as Devamasas or embodiments of divine spark, but have they all the attributes that should characterize them? Or have they at least daya or compassion, dharma or morality, paropkaram or service of others, and shantam or calmness, equanimity? If they have these at least in a small measure, they can be regarded as Devamasas to an extent. Instead, if the full battery of Asuric equipment is evident in them, how can their declaration be taken at its face value? It is sheer pomposity to pretend so or to claim. As such, Dambam or pomposity is also a demonic quality, but not a divine quality. Arjuna, each one can easily analyze himself and decide to which class he belongs depending on this swabhavas or qualities or characteristics. The class is not decided by physical appearance, possession, status, or authority. For example, consider Ravana. He had the human form. He was an emperor. He was wealthier than Kubera, the lord of wealth. But can he be considered as Devamsa Manava for these reasons? No. He is declared a demon on the basis of the gunas or qualities he had. Three qualities form the fundamental basis of all asuric or demonic natures. They are kama, krodha and lobha, desire, anger and greed. They destroy the self and foster the demon in man. They have to be overwhelmed and overcome by the divine qualities of Vairagyam, Shantam and Tyagam, detachment, equanimity and renunciation. They are the warriors to rely on in this fight. Foster and encourage these warriors, and they will in a trice wipe out the three charioteers of demonic influence and establish divinity. Any trace of the foes, kama, krodha and lobha, left unsuppressed anywhere is a potential danger. So, they must be completely reduced to ashes. That leads to real success in the struggle for the goal of life. Asa, desires, and pasha, detachments, are as roots to the tree of life. When the roots are cut as under the tree dies, the rate of decline depends upon the speed and effectiveness of the cutting as under. It will keep sprouting even if a single root is intact. It will not go dry or die. Remove every single root, then the tree perishes and becomes dead wood. The boast of men that they have destroyed all roots is vain if the tree is green and growing. So too eventually the maya, delusion or ignorance that has possessed the jivi will perish in proportion to the uprooting of asa or desires and pasha, attachments. Some engage themselves in the practice of dhyana after reducing to some extent only a few urges and desires. They cannot achieve purana ekagrata or full concentration, nor are they tossed by purana chanchaltvam or complete uncontrolled agitations or waywardness. They are caught in the intermediate level. What is the reason for this state of things? Purana ekagrata can come only from full control of asa or desires and pasha, attachments. Failure to have full concentration is a result of not fully overcoming asha and pasha, that is desires and attachments. Hence it is declared that kama, krodha and lobha, desires, anger and attachment, are demons that possess man. You may say that demons possess fearful and ugly forms, but it is not a calamity to have ugly faces or frightful forms. At the worst, he may be called repulsive, that is all. It is the demonic qualities that marks the calamity. A person may be beautiful in appearance. He may have a parrot-like chatter that is sweet and to the ear. But for these reasons, he cannot be regarded as divinely endowed or a devamsa. If demonic qualities simmer in them, even their physical beauty and sweetness of voice will get altered accordingly. The words that emanate from them will be vulgarized into hammer strokes and dagger thrusts. Thus, Danava Sampati or plenitude of devilish qualities and Deva Sampati, treasure of divine qualities, are related to the gunas or qualities that compose the nature and behavior of the individual and not to the physical form and appearance. Jai Sai Ram.
Saishwaraya vidmahe satyadevaya dhimahi tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe satyadevaya dhimahi तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ